All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Clicks and Bricks. My name is Ken. This is Brian. He's still tagging people on the video, so we're going to get started. If you want to get and join my community and get some tips and tricks, some education, some motivational stuff, send me a text message, 314-370-2871. I'll never try to sell you anything over that text message number. It'll just be fun and shenanigans and goofing off. I go to a lot of local fight nights, so maybe some clips from there, some motivation, some training stuff, and some business tips and tricks here and there, talking about new technologies. I know this new, I'm really diving into this new non-fungible tokens, and that's been a whole lot of fun. Stuff like Earth.io and things like that has been a whole lot of fun. So
what is that?
Earth.io is like you can buy plots of land, like virtual plots of land, but it's like a Google Earth, but you can buy like your house and then you can sell it. So, but the new ETF or new NFTs, non-fungible tokens, it's like virtual baseball cards, virtual tennis shoes, virtual stuff. Think about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Every Bitcoin's fungible, so I can trade Ron, I can give him a Bitcoin, he gives me a Bitcoin, we have the same value. Right. Non-fungible is I have this digital asset, and Ron has a digital asset, but they have different values.
Interesting.
Yeah, so more like the real world kind of stuff.
So it could be $1 or it could be $5.
Yes, and uniqueness is there. So I was on like channel 12, I think, in the Ozarks a couple years ago talking about Bitcoins and the possibility of having really cool hashes.
There you go.
A Bitcoin is basically just a hash. It's basically a string of letters and numbers, right? And characters. So some of them might be really cool, like your address or, 8675309 would probably be a good string to have, right?
Gotcha.
It would have more value. If that string appeared inside your hash, it might have more value than another hash that didn't have something significant to somebody. So sentimental value, crap, stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff I talk about in my community. I know it's super nerdy, but it's not always super nerdy. It's mostly, more of the time, it's just like generic motivational shit. But things that I use to motivate myself to get through the day.
We all need that. And then my text line at 314-216-2040. If you have questions or if you have a topic you want us to go over, something that's on your mind and you just don't really know what to do, let us know. Let's talk about it, right? So today our topic is going to be our part 2 in this series of the From the Ground Up.
Yes.
I got to slow it down to say it right.
Yeah.
We will talk about online directories, but before we do that, we have to start just by our Between the Cubicles. And the talk I wanted to have today was about Drew Barrymore, back in the news this morning.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about this, but you hinted to me a little bit. So tell me what's going on with Drew today.
So Drew Barrymore has been super open. She went on Howard Stern. She did
Drew's always been super open.
Yes.
Ask Letterman.
Yes.
Best day of Letterman's life, I bet.
Yeah, I bet. Hands down. Or at least in the top 10, right?
Yes. Top 10. Ching.
But she did this online interview with Howard Stern, and she was just went deep into her personal life when she was in a psychiatric ward for 18 months when she was 13 years old.
I could see that. I wouldn't call myself a huge Drew Barrymore fan because I'm not fanatical about her. I definitely one of the first crushes of my life, like hands down. I mean, we're the same age, so seeing her in E.T., seeing her in Firestarter.
She was cute, man.
She was super cute, and then being, a juvenile delinquent like I was, and she's, you see her out partying at the same time with celebrities and really, I remember being a kid, they did this whole thing on her, I don't know if it was like 60 Minutes or some kind of news channel, where they did a thing probably around that age where she was, partying in L.A. and, with, adult rock stars and shit like that. And
she was a child star.
She was huge, right? She's in E.T., she's in Firestarter. I'm super glad that she got her shit together. She has a lot to give the world. Her dad was a famous actor as well. He was in silent movies, and we talked about silent movies a couple of times. So And then she does this whole thing with Adam Sandler afterwards, right? Which is just a
they
phenomenal
got so
run.
many movies together, man.
So many movies together.
And they're all awesome.
And I'm really happy that Drew Barrymore is part of my daughter's life now.
Oh, so she's a fan. Well, is she a fan?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, she likes Drew Barrymore. She's not a fanatic, but she enjoys watching Drew Barrymore stuff. I think she's more of a Adam Sandler fan than a Drew Barrymore fan.
Who's not Adam Sandler's fan? Man, I love watching.
Yeah, but Drew's a solid actress. She's been through a lot in her life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of those child celebrities die at young ages,
and they go through a lot,
and don't come out. So. Bieber's got the new song out, "Lonely."
I haven't heard it yet.
That kind of talks about this is the price you pay for being famous and young, right?
Well, see, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things she talked about in the article, or in the I read the article, but in the interview as well, she talked about how she wished her mom would have been her mom and not her friend.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough line to hoe, right?
It is tough because where do you draw the line? When's the time frame to draw the line, and how do you execute on keeping those boundaries set?
Obviously, I don't know anything about Drew Barrymore's personal life, right, and how she was raised and all those things, but it's got to be humbling to a parent to have a superstar child.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know. How do you handle that? Your kid's bringing in. I don't know what she made for E.T. I assume it's a couple million. Firestarter. Have you ever seen Firestarter?
I did not see that. Wait.
Okay. Firestarter. She's just badass little girl that can burn shit with her eyes and stuff. It's amazing. So I mean, she's just bringing in. She's headlining movies as a child, and
that's cool,
and
man.
Crushing it. So she did disappear for a very long time. Glad she's back. Love Drew Barrymore.
Right.
The world would be a sad place without her. So
absolutely agreed.
And mental health is another big issue that I.
That's
like
the part
to
I'm excited about.
My next podcast is going to be all about not mental health, but living with people that have that are not neurologically normal.
Interesting.
So, and what those struggles are. So that's going to be my next podcast. We're going to start that. We're prepping it I think we're going to launch that in May, and it's going to be called Being Joe's Dad.
That's awesome, man.
I'm super, super excited about that, and it's going to be really not about the mental disorder stuff, but about
how you deal with
about how my family and copes with it, and how friends in the communities that I'm in are coping with those things, and hopefully sharing some tips and tricks because it's challenging, right? I've got a lot of family with mental problems, and it sucks. Right?
Yeah, well, it's different, right? And in our society, things that are different are automatically hard because it's not something you do on a regular basis.
Right.
So there's not a lot of resources. There's not a lot of people that are practicing it. There's a lot of people talking really about it. Besides the fact that they're all in this crappy situation and they know how to make it better.
Right.
Right. So I think that's really awesome that you're going to have that podcast coming up. And I'm really excited that Drew Barrymore came out and really talked about the struggle early on in her life, and talked about how her mom actually being a mom would have been a better thing for her.
And she did that with Howard Stern.
Of all people.
I mean, I know that they're close buddies, and Private Parts is a phenomenal movie. I love that movie.
People are raw with Howard, man, all the time.
Yeah, and it's funny that he goes from fart jokes to talking about mental health issues. But I'm glad he's doing it. People like Howard Stern and even Snoop Dogg's changing the game right now.
He's all over the place, man.
With these people that were normally, when I was a kid, these were fringe artists, right?
Yes.
Howard Stern, Morton Downey Jr. And Snoop Dogg were all fringe artists. They were on the fringe of stuff, and I love that they're coming up.
Yeah.
And being mainstream.
Yeah, it makes me think that
and accepted as mainstream.
I think I have a shot now. If Snoop Dogg can do cooking shows, I think I have a shot.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's cooking high, right? It's not.
But it's a cooking show.
Yeah,
still.
it is a cooking show.
It's in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and he's on Trailer Park Boys, and he just did that fight with Tyson.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we could obviously talk about this for the entire episode today, but today we really want to dive deep into online directories, okay? And what is it? Let's start at the very beginning. Ken, can you give us a good, clear definition on what is an online directory?
At the basis, when you think about an online directory, I think I think different people are gonna think of what an online directory is differently. So the way we look at it is Hostirian has partnered with about 72 online directories, and we've partnered with the most popular 72 directories: Cityscape, Yelp, Google, Yahoo, Bing, right? All those people that have a database where they collect business information, all your citations, name, phone number, email address, contact information, all those citations, and they create a database, and then they present you the most likely data on when you're searching for them, and they present you that, and then Google gives you a map. I think most companies are either using Google Maps or MapQuest in some fashion, right? They pipe those in.
Right.
Even Waze is Google Maps now.
Yes.
So I think that's the basis of when we think of directory listings, that's what we think of. But I also know then there's also niche directory listings, which is the next step, which is harder to automate because not every vertical has a unique set of directories for it.
Right.
But just for a couple, I know that attorneys, there's a handful, probably 10 or 15 reasonably good directory listings for attorneys. Fitness studios, there's a bunch of them for that.
Real estate agents,
there's a bunch of them for that. The cannabis industry has a handful for hemp growers and stuff like that. There's some for farmers, some directory listings for farm equipment. Where do I go buy my farm equipment, right? So any industry that you can think of has a couple of great entrepreneurs that went out and said, hey, this industry needs a industry-specific community and directory listing. Yeah. And when you engage in those directory listings, you get backlinks, you get other benefits. So they're doing marketing to promote their business, and you're listed inside their business. So it's a great way to grow your organic reach,
right?
Along with aligning yourself with your particular industry,
which are all amazing things, right? Would you not want to do that?
They just have to be, right? Hostirian, we listed all the 72 majors. We're also listed in, Web Hosting Talk, and Sumo Host, I think, is another one that we're listed in. Mm-hmm. So we've got, some industry-specific web hosting directory listings that we're in. You could even say some of these, top 10 software packages is also similar to a directory listing. Yeah. So it's a listing of the top 10, but most of them are junk. They're not real. They're companies that in that industry that have created this listing to promote themselves. Yeah. There's a lot of them, and then a lot of them you just pay to be on them. So it's not truly a top 10 the way I would think. It's not like with the Grammys or something where you have a giant voting pool. Yes. These are a handful of people that made this website's idea of what the top 10 are.
Yeah, and when I was doing my research and kind of diving into this, I also thought it was interesting how a directory listing could also be social media.
Facebook is a directory, right? Right. So Facebook business page is a directory listing. Right. Right. It's also a lot more, but it's also that.
So it's another reason to why being on social media is that much more important for your business.
Yes.
Right, because it still gives you more credibility. It's another place where your name, your address, your phone number, and someone can find information about you. Because we're in the research age.
Right. The caveat to social media, though, is if you have a Google My Business page and you set it up and you post it, mm-hmm. and you don't do anything else, you kind of set it and forget it, and you just update it when something changes, that's kind of acceptable. If you have a Facebook page or an Instagram page and you don't have any content there, I think people frown on that. So,
absolutely.
On a social media, you really have to make sure that if you're going to use a social media outlet as one of your directory listings, that you have a strategy for not just social media, but a strategy for that specific category, right? So today, we're live on Twitch for the first time. Right. And it took us probably 10 or 15 different conversations and us learning a little bit more about, us geezers, about what
Twitch
is, and can I do a podcast about business on Twitch? Right. Or, is that really just kids playing video games? And it's not, right? Twitch is a huge platform with all kinds of different content on it. Right. And I would say, I would even go as far as saying that Twitch, at the end of the day, is a new directory listing, right? Because our name, phone number, address, all that stuff is going to be on Twitch right now. So,
right. So I mean, so it just kind of goes to the point that, you know, when you say, we try to define what is a online directory, it can be a lot of different stuff.
It is a whole lot of different stuff, right?
Right? I mean,
it's
that's
not
a hard thing to categorize.
There's no definitive answer, right? I mean, there's
Right.
there's fundamentals that every single business in this country, if you have a brick and mortar business, at minimum, should have directory listing management.
Absolutely.
Hands down, there's zero question in my mind that if you've got $100 a month to spend, that's where you should put it. And it's going to be the absolute best $100 a month that you're going to spend. And I don't even think it's $100 a month for directory listing. You can get that high.
There's a bunch of different ways you can go about
There's different levels, right? I mean, we have a free one for the basic 4.
Right.
We'll do a basic directory listing management system for you for free. Anybody in the world, they can sign up for it. They just give us a call, and it's Facebook.
It's the top 4, so it's Facebook,
Google,
Twitter, and IG.
It's not Instagram. It's one other one. I think
it connects with Facebook.
So it hits Facebook and then goes out to Instagram.
You have to connect them.
Yeah,
that's the only way it works.
So as long as you got your Facebook and Instagram connected, then it automatically goes out there.
Right.
And that's great for consistency's sake, right?
Right.
Google hates you if they see different phone numbers on different directories, right? They're like, well, I don't even know how to trust you. So if I don't trust you, I'm going to use the guy that's more consistent. So Google's going to use more consistent data before they use ad hoc data.
So before we dive into that, that's kind of like, let's set the stage here for this part of the conversation, because this is important, right?
It is very important.
Yes. And I really want our listeners to see that, like, this could be a make or break if you're ranked in Google or not.
You will not be ranked in Google if you're not consistent.
All right, so let's talk about that. Like, what does it mean to earn the trust of
Google? You'll be ranked in Google, but you'll be on like the 37th page. So if you're not on the first page of Google, that's why. It's a big reason why.
Right. Because I mean, 90% of people that search online, if it's not on the first page, they're done.
I don't even know how many times we took a company that was nowhere ranked at all on Google. Or like you couldn't find them. Like if you search for their niche in that area, you did not find them at all.
Right.
But if you search for their specific name, you'd find them and they'd pop up.
Which doesn't really count, because people don't know the name of the company. They didn't know they have a problem. They don't care the name of the company.
I mean, they might know the name the second time they know their name, but the first time they don't. So they're looking for plumber near me, right? And I don't know how many times that literally we talk about SEO and we're like, it's a process, and you got to do it. It takes a while. But there's so many times that we just did directory listings and they got on first page of Google.
Right.
Like within
days.
A couple of days.
I think the fastest one, I want to say it was like a day and a half. It was less than 2 days.
And it wasn't like a chump-ass industry, right? It was like real estate, or it was insurance agents.
Yeah, insurance
agents. Right? And we're like, well, we think...
property and casualty insurance agent, with there's one on every corner.
Yeah, so, and we're like, yeah, let's do it, and, you'll get better rankings and all this stuff. And within 2 days, she was on page 1 in the Google 3-pack, just by doing Google listings. Right. So if you're in a community that's not a major city, right? Major cities are going to be tougher. But if you're in a community of under, between 50 and 100,000 people, and you're an insurance agent, there's a high probability that if you just do directory listings, you're going to rise to the top on Google search, and your phone starts ringing. Like, there's nothing that makes your phone ring more that I know of for almost free per call than being in the Google 3-pack.
Yeah. So I mean, it literally tells you, Google's saying. First off, people believe everything that Google says. But I mean, if Google edifies you by putting you on the first page in the top 3, the snack pack, right? Why would I not trust Google?
Well, and you can double down on that once you're there. Then if you get ads, then people are seeing you twice on the first page.
Right.
Home run.
So exactly why I want to kind of back up a little bit, and I want to talk about the trust, earning that trust of Google.
Right.
What does that mean? How do you earn this trust? What does that mean for Google? What does it take? What are they looking at?
Right. So Google looks at, I think it's over 1 million different things, right? Or no, that's Facebook. Facebook has over 1 million different data points on every person. I don't know how many variables Google looks at whenever they're ranking.
It's always changing.
It's always changing. It's always moving. They have different names for it, penguin, panda, polar bear, all kinds of different names for what their current algorithm is. But Google wants to give you the most relevant data that you can use as fast as possible, right? I mean, they really don't even care. They don't want you going to the second page.
Right.
They want to give you exactly what you're looking for when you're looking for it. So they're constantly looking for that information. So consistency is number one, right? If you're inconsistent with your data, Google won't trust you. And this goes down to all the way down to like if you type out LLC or if you type in L.C. or space, right? That always has to be consistent. It has to be consistent in your phone number. 314-370-2871 is a different number than 314-370-2871.
Right.
They're two different numbers in programming language. So
why is that so hard for people to understand?
Well, because they're hand jamming this shit into 27, 30, 100, 200 directories, right? And it's, I do it all the time, and it's frustrating. I'll be working on a project, and I find a better way to do it, so I start doing it the better way, but I never go back and redo all the shit that I did before, right?
Right.
And we probably all do it. I can't tell you how many times I'm working on a project.
Yes, I do it quite a bit.
On something that I did a long time ago, I'm going back to it. Mm-hmm. Like, who the hell did this shit? Oh, it was me. Right? But I did it with my knowledge from 2 years ago, not my knowledge from today.
Right.
So I think it's just human nature to, as you change things, right? And not going back and making the other stuff like the new stuff is a problem. And that's why we tout so hard that you need directory listing management, because then you just type it in one time and hit submit,
done,
and it goes out. That data goes to all the different directories, right? Then you know that I didn't typo one. And these things it takes a couple hours sometimes to get a Google My Business page up and running, fully optimized.
You got to put some time
all in from day one. I bet you're looking at 3 weeks.
Maybe more.
You're looking at probably a couple of hours of sitting down and actually filling out all the information, adding the pictures, adding all that stuff. And then you got to wait for the card to come in.
And that's the hardest part. Because sometimes, it just doesn't come. You got to request that thing a couple times, man.
Yeah, and it's worse in a world of COVID, right? Because the post office is a little slower than normal. It's not as reliable as it used to be. It's just not a great situation. So that's huge whenever you can say, if you're going to take a few hours, and we just have 72 or 74?
Actually, 75.
75 that we're integrated with.
Yeah.
In Hostirian's directory listing management tool. And each one of them to do individually, it's going to be 5 to 10 hours of labor. From get-go. I don't have a directory here. I want to have a directory listing in CitySpace. I've got to create my account. I got to get the email. I got to confirm the email. Then I got to go in and I got to type in all those fields where they go.
Then you got to remember the password. So I had to have some kind of password management too.
Right. So with the directory listing management, you type it all in once, you hit go, and it constantly goes out and fixes them. The other thing that directory listing management does that's huge is it prevents identity theft for your business.
Yes.
Inside of Google My Business.
That was one of our questions.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that on that question instead of now. But it's huge. So if you have inconsistent data throughout Google or throughout the internet,
right,
Google's not going to trust you. We've been doing a lot of research on backlinks over the past couple of weeks, and what we found even is Google is so adamant about proper data. It used to be you could buy these backlinks on non-relevant sites, and you would get ranked high because you had a lot of backlinks out there.
Right.
But now Google's like, man, if you're putting your links, if you're a hosting provider and you're putting your links on sites about fitness, you're just putting them anywhere, it's not relevant. It doesn't give you points, and actually it degrades from your score. So they actually deduct points from your stuff, and it hurts you. So years ago it used to be a link was a link and no links could really hurt you. But now it's, man, if you put your link on the wrong site, it can be negative affecting you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of earning that trust, right? Because, I think anyone that uses Google, which I could probably say 98% of us do.
I don't know what the percentage is. It's got to be a bunch, right? It's at least half of the cell phone users on the planet, right? Use Google Chrome because they're using Android.
But when you type something in Google, you expect it to find exactly what you're looking for. And you expect it to do it quick.
A lot of people do, yes.
Right? And if it doesn't, you don't go to the second page. You go back up to the search bar and say, okay, let me get more detailed in what I'm asking for to make sure it gets it.
Yeah, the only time I really go through pages is if I'm really doing a lot of deep research, right? But
if I'm doing then I'm going to read everything on the first page. Then I'm going to go to the second page. And then I may go to the third page if I think that I can get what I really needed out of the first two. Right? So when we talk about earning that trust, I wanted to kind of dive into the moment of what that kind of looks like on a, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess it's a direct shot to Google, right? Because, I mean, the point of having all these directory listings is that you have multiple voices. Or that's not one.
It's a point, right?
It's a point.
I don't think there's a holy grail of why you have directory listings, right? Other than, the holy grail is the same reason you used to buy Yellow Pages.
Exposure.
Because you want people to do business with you, and you want people to know you exist.
Yes.
Right? We were at some fights this weekend, and I was talking with the owner of the Nemesis. And, I was kind of busting his balls a little bit. And I was with some friends, and he doesn't promote it very widely, right? And we were talking about, like, why don't you promote this better? And he's like, well, because and this is in the time of COVID, and he said, because I'm already sold out. I'm sold out as soon as I book my fighters. My fighters sell all the tickets, right? So why would I promote anything? And my advice to him was, you're right. Why would you promote anything other than COVID's going to be over. And all it's going to take is one promoter that knows how to promote to eat your lunch, right? So I think promoting needs to be something that you exercise on a regular basis, or you're going to lose it. You don't remember how to do it. So, and your competition, I promise you, I don't care what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're making tennis shoes, there's a kid right now that thinks that he can make tennis shoes better than you, and he thinks he can sell them better than you, and he's after your ass. He wants to take you out. Every industry that you're in, it does not matter.
It's cutthroat.
There's somebody that's wanting, and they don't even know that it's hurting you.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're not thinking about you at all.
I need money. This is my product.
I'm pushing. And I need to sell it. Yeah, it's not personal at all. It's like, hey, I want to sell my stuff. You want to sell your stuff, and the better promoter
wins.
The better brand, or not even the better brand.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's not always the better brand.
It's not always the better brand.
You got to be in my face. I can't get away from you. Then I'm okay.
I mean, Adidas is clearly a better shoe than Nike, but I think Nike outsells them every year, like, hands down, right? Because they're better
Adidas
promoters.
On my feet right now.
I almost always have Adidas on.
Three-stripe life, baby.
Yes. So, there's a lot of things that aren't the best brand out there, but they have the brand recognition, so they win.
Period.
Right, and that's it.
So, moving along here, so I guess we could kind of dive into that question earlier. But
let me pause for 1 second. I'm going to go way back, and I'm going to go 5, 10, 20 years in the future.
Uh-oh.
If you're not in directory listings now, and you're not building your brand today, 5, 10, 20 years from now, these screens are almost gone, and everything we do is going to be voice activated. So if you're asking the voice activated something for something, they're not going to give you a page with next so that they can find you. They're going to give you the top result in their bucket.
There it is.
So if you say, Alexa, order peanut butter, Alexa's going to order the most, actually she's probably going to order Amazon peanut butter. She's not even going to order Peter Pan. Right?
You got to ask for that.
You're going to have to ask for the brand that you want. So brand awareness and brand management is huge. And if you're not there, if you're not thinking about that today, you're definitely going to eat your lunch. And, the kids are going to say, Alexa, ship me a pair of size 13 tennis shoes that are great for running.
Right.
And the colors that I like. Right? And then they're just going to get the shoe that Alexa or whoever's winning the voice game
at that time
thinks is the best product for them.
Yeah.
Right? And that voice activated system is going to know everything about that's in my closet already, because it's going to have QR codes scanning my shit when it walks on my door.
It's got so much AI. It already knows what you researched. So it already knows the shoes you already bought. It knows the ones that you liked on Facebook and Instagram. It knows the ones you already researched already.
Yeah.
So it's gonna find the one that it knows.
And with them doing this new stuff that, like, Amazon now has Amazon Wardrobe, where you can buy clothes and return it after 7 days at no cost.
That's pretty cool, though.
You don't even pay for it for 7 days. Right? So you get it, you try it on. No, I like it or don't like it. You put it back in the box and it goes back if you don't like it. And you never spend a nickel. So that tells you right there that they're prepping.
They're getting ready.
They're preparing for this, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be, it's got to be DoorDash. Order my groceries for the week. And it's
you know what I want,
come, right? I mean, I can't believe that Uber doesn't just show up with my McDonald's every day at lunch. But I actually still have to hit buttons. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, it blows my mind that I have a calculator in my pocket, and I was taught that you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
We evolved so much, and technology has made us lazy in some ways, but at the same time, it just made shit easy for us.
So if for no other reason, directory listings today, if you don't believe in them today, I promise you, it's going to knock you on your ass 10 years from now.
Your competitors will.
Right? And now they're starting to rank Google's starting to rank domain name age and company age as part of their relevancy.
Yeah. And their social medias are part of it.
How long has your social media profile been active?
Are you active? Yeah. Are you active on your social media?
Yes.
Right? Your review management is just like how people look at reviews, so does the search engines.
Yes.
They want to know, well, what do people think about it?
Yeah.
Right?
And they look at, so one of the factors is, if I'm looking for the best smoothie in town, one of the factors is going to be how many reviews, and I know we're getting into next week, how many reviews does the average smoothie shop have in this area?
Right.
Because the one with the most reviews, I'm going to put at the top.
And with replies.
And if they're replying, because they like to see business owners interacting with the community.
So now I know that business is still active.
Yes.
Right. So I definitely want to put the brakes on that topic because we're going to talk about that next week.
That's review management is next week's topic,
yes.
And it's also it's as significant as directory listings and your website.
Right. These are the pillars from the ground up.
Yes.
This is the foundation of your online presence. If you want to be found online, you have to start right here, and if you're not, you're just going to have an uphill struggle, and it's not going to be fun. It's going to take all the fun away from all your activity online and getting your business visible.
Absolutely.
Right away.
Yeah.
All right. So we're halfway through the show, so I want to take a moment here to talk about our This Week in Tech History.
Awesome. And this week, very important, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors of This Week in Tech History, My Team Fitness, everyday fitness for everybody. It's a company that Brian and I founded together. We have a lot of partners, and it's basically a 10-minute workout every single day. You get an email, motivational email every morning in your inbox.
Right.
It's super affordable, and it's a workout that you can do at home, and it's totally
easy,
totally reasonable to do.
Right.
And so if you're really struggling with how to get started with fitness, or if you're struggling with what do I do, or you just need a team with you to get started,
you need some motivation. My
Team Fitness, and we will dump a Clicks and Bricks coupon code to give you 75% off lifetime memberships, 75% off your membership for lifetime.
There you go.
At this, so use coupon code Clicks and Bricks, and you'll get 75% off for the lifetime of your membership. So you're somewhere in the $25 a month range, somewhere in there.
Right, about $25
for everyday fitness for everybody.
There you go. Great starting point. All right, so this week in tech history, little drum roll. All right, let's see what we got today. This is so exciting. I feel like I'm
so while he's opening that, we have a new process. We don't even know what it is.
Right.
Dustin, one of our assistant producers, does all these, and he puts them in the envelope. We don't even know what's going to come out. So
this is exciting. So on the 26th of February, 1991, That Looks Better. Team Berners-Lee introduces World Wide Web, the first web browser. What you see is what you get. HTML editor.
The first WYSIWYG editor. So WYSIWYG is what you see, what you get.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Oh,
is that what it says? Does it say that on there? So it says WYSIWYG?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Huge. So 1991 is the first online WYSIWYG editor.
Yes, first web browser.
First web browser
that had the you get what you see is what you get.
Okay. And that what was the name of that web browser?
World Wide Web. Wait.
World Wide Web. Let me see that.
Tim Burns.
So Tim Burns.
Into the name of it.
Introduces
the guy that
World Wide Web. That's what we know as www today. That's why we have it. The first web browser and what you see is what you get. WYSIWYG HTML editor. So, real quick, can somebody out in the production team do a Google search for me real quick on when the first GIF or JPEG, GIF, however you want to call it, was introduced on the internet? I think it was 92 was when the first image appears on the internet. So the IMG SRC. 87 was the first image on the internet in HTML? In HTML?
Yes.
Okay, so then do another one and do animated GIF for me.
Interesting.
So I remember I was at WashU in 96, and I was doing my first HTML. I did like an HTML 1.0 or 2.0 class. And I remember image source was a huge deal. Like, huge deal. Like, we can embed images in HTML and people can see them with the WYSIWYG. Now, WYSIWYG then was way different than WYSIWYG now. And we're all used to using WYSIWYGs every single day of our lives today, right?
What are some examples of WYSIWYG?
So for us, for a big one, WordPress is a WYSIWYG, right? And with their new blocks, it's a WYSIWYG. So as you're developing the website, what you see is what you get.
Right.
It's never been great, and it's still not fantastic, right? It's I think where we're at right now is if you go back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, Windows came out with this plug and play technology. And today, plug and play is pretty good. It's so good that we don't even talk about plug and play anymore. But I remember in the early 2000s, we didn't call it plug and play. We called it plug and pray. Which was basically you could put any kind of a component inside a Windows computer, and it would automatically find the drivers, install them, and go on. So I think the challenges in today's world with WYSIWYG editors, and the one that we use the most is called Elementor Pro, right? And it's a plugin for WordPress, and it makes building web pages
so easy.
So much easier.
Or easier.
Easier. It's still a complex
you still gotta
problem.
learn that.
Yes.
You still gotta learn Elementor.
Yeah, and there's thousands and variables and stuff involved. But today the problem I see the biggest issue is that what you see is what you get on one screen type.
Yes.
Right? And then
now there's on the tablet, changes again on the mobile.
Right. So we're really adopting now. We just right away go right to the mobile view, and we're designing pages in mobile view, and then we're touching them up for desktop view. Right. Whereas just a couple of years ago, we were building it for the desktop view, and then touching it up to work on mobile. Right. Or maybe even making a completely separate mobile version of the website.
It's challenging. Like building the website in the mobile view, it feels weird because I've never done it like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I've been doing it for like as long as you have.
Right.
But in my few years of building, I'm like, oh man, this promotes another set of challenges. But that's what people look at.
It also kind of like simplifies shit, right? Because what it really does, and we learned this when we started making TikTok videos, is it really makes you learn how to get your point across really, really fast. Yeah. Like, because you can't mess around, dude. You got eyeballs on the screen, and it's so easy to go to the next thing. And there's so many things asking me for my attention on my cell phone.
Right.
That even if I got to your page, a notification from Twitter or something else could very easily steal my attention.
I have 17 notifications right now that's popped up.
I'm sure, yeah.
And I'm on D&D. I just saw my phone light up.
I mean, my TikTok is 100% of the time sitting at 99 notifications in my inbox. Like, I can't get through it fast enough. Yeah, it's 99 plus, right? Because it doesn't go higher.
It's crazy.
So it's just nonstop. I've got 99 people wanting to talk to me or say something to me, plus on TikTok. That doesn't include I really don't use Instagram. I should. I don't. I'm Facebook and TikTok. I use
TikTok to troll. Just when I need some downtime, I want to just kill some space and let the
it's fodder for the brain, right? It's just dumbness.
It works.
I love it. Yeah.
We got drowned out in it last night for like hours.
Yeah.
All right. So that was our This Week in Tech History. Thank you, Dustin, for that.
And the WYSIWYG editor, without the WYSIWYG editor, we're not where we're at today by far, right? Because I enjoy building a website from Notepad, typing out the HTML.
old school.
But I'm the odd duck here in this case, right? Most people like to drag and drop their stuff.
You're a just enough essential parts kind of guy.
I am a Jeep guy. Yes, absolutely. So.
Awesome. All right, so diving back in our conversation here about online directories, what they are, how to use them, how to manage them, and all that kind of good stuff. When it comes to your management of your online directories, I know we talked about some ways to go about it. What do you think is that, how do you know how do you know the route you want to go, right? There's got to be some kind of style that you want to go with. And how do you dictate what that style will be like on your online directories?
So that's an interesting question, and it's more of a marketing branding question, right? If I'm understanding the
right,
question
because I mean that's a
properly.
part of it. Because if you're trying to find information on a company, that's usually why people go to an online directory.
Right.
So it's got to sound like you.
Yes. So first thing you have to do is define your company voice, which a lot of small businesses don't do. You have to define your customer voice, and you have to define who your core audience is, and this is going to go contradictory to a lot of marketing strategies, right? Because one of the key marketing strategies for building a landing page is one core benefit.
Yes.
Right. Well, you can't really do that in directory listings, right? You talk about your core benefit, but then you also do these other sub benefits that you have, right? If you do classes, you're going to have your class directory, what type of classes you have. So your core benefit on your online directory really becomes kind of subjective, right? We're friendly people. We're always here. We answer the phone fast. Those kinds of things, right? And then guarantees are another big one that you can introduce into your online directories. I think for me, I've always, and I don't know if this is the right way to do it or not, I've always first just tried to decide, is my company's persona, my company voice, is it male or female? Is it chipper or business-like, right? And I typically like, Hostirian is a very, very serious business, right? We're dealing with airplane communication. We're dealing with hospitals. We're dealing with
people's lives on the line.
And then, but also we're dealing with websites like Mardi Gras and the Hangry Theory, and these like kind of fun, casual websites that are important for the world. But nobody's going to die if we don't do a great job. Nobody's going to go to jail if we do something that's not in best interest. So or best best practice. So it's a hard line to toe with Hostirian because we do have so many different kinds of clients. So we typically go really conservative with all of our communications because for us, trust is a number one factor.
I mean, but then that's for everybody. You can't have a relationship without trust, man.
I don't trust that kid at McDonald's, and I go through the drive-thru every morning.
You trust him enough to make your food.
Trust him enough? No, I don't. I don't. I expect only an 80% success rate for McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
At Popeyes, I expect to be rude, treated like crap every single time.
But love the chicken.
It's just my expectations, right? And my risk tolerance. So my risk tolerance for food in the morning is about $2, and I can get that at McDonald's. Right? So, and if I had to throw my $2 of food away, that sucked.
I love how you have your expectation in dollars. I expect $2 worth of work.
Well, that's what I'm getting, right? I don't know what else to say. So it's a Diet Coke and a sausage biscuit. So, yeah. Awesome,
man. So keep it moving along here. Our next question. Here, I want to go to, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but this is by Paul. He says, what is the difference between a backlink and an online directory?
Oh, so an online directory is going to have specific citations.
Because you need them both.
Right. It's going to have it's going to have your phone number, your address, probably a link to a map. It's going to tell a story about your business. And a backlink is going to, hopefully, if done correctly, be placed on a website that has relevant content to your business, and if it's not relevant, it's at least a synergy that links back to a specific page of your website that's selling a similar service or an add-on service. So,
there you
what I think most people are used to seeing right now, and the best use of, it's not really backlinking, it's cross-linking, and we don't talk about that very much.
I was just about to say, let's talk about it now.
Right. So cross-linking would be the, on Amazon, knocks it out of the park cross-linking. People that bought this also bought this and this.
Yes.
Right? That would be cross-linking. So it's not necessarily a backlink, but it's a cross-link. So it's not a full story. It's just a product.
There you go.
I guess an example of a backlink for us would be whenever we do press releases. We publish press releases. They go out to thousands of different newspapers.
There you go.
And there's always a couple of links back to our website. One at the bottom, which is our footer, but just tell more about information about Hostirian. Go to hostirian.com/about. But then also, whenever we do a press release for any product or service, we'll have the link to that product or service in that press release. And PR.com, or no affiliation, no at all, we don't get any commission from them, is a fantastic source for if you're launching a new product or service to get massive reach really, really quick for a fairly affordable price.
That works. Right? That's
Other than that, it would be another common tactic would be guest writing blogs. So if you're a...
Blogs get it done, man.
There's a lot of them out there.
I'm a believer, man. It took me. I wasn't a hardcore believer until about December.
So if you're selling meal prep, right? A good strategy or a strategy could be, I'm going to go and I'm going to ask 100 different fitness websites if I can write a specialized blog post for their website linking back to my meal prep, right? That would be fantastic. Google's going to see that those links are relevant with each other because they're talking about fitness and wellness.
There you go.
But you're not directly competing with each other. So it's a great use of backlinks.
It's awesome. And it's new.
Google
loves new stuff.
If you ask anybody, hey, can I write a post for your website? And they say no. They either way overvalue their brand or they don't understand what you're asking them, right? They should say, sure, show me what you got, and then vet it from there and see if it matches their company profile and their company
What
voice.
were you thinking?
Right.
You got to dig.
Right. It's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity on both sides of the fence.
You never know what opportunity is going to lead to.
Yeah. Basically you would say, sure, and then can I do that for you too? So that you get a reciprocal link both ways.
Right.
Right.
So it starts that negotiation process.
Content is king, and unique content is phenomenal.
Consistent, unique content is even better. That's like the holy grail when it comes to content.
So that's a weird statement, right? Consistent, unique content, right? Because
it sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it?
Well, the content itself needs to be consistently telling the same story, but in different ways. And then the consistency needs to be the voice, the type of content, what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about motorcycles one day and boats the next, unless you're a small engine repair person, that doesn't fly.
You're confusing people.
Right, so let me give a better one. If you're talking about candy bars one day and motorcycles the next, right? People are like, what's this guy talk about? So they don't know what your voice is. And then the second part on the consistency would be your phone number, address, all your citations. That needs to be really consistent.
Exactly.
So your story, your voice, that needs to be the same, but the content needs to be unique. It needs to be different stories, different analogies.
It has to be you.
Different ways to frame it, right? We talk about this all the time, that I say something that is very, very clear to me and one person understands it, and out of a room of 10. Sometimes I say it and then 6 people understand it, but 4 people don't. So you have to say it in multiple different ways because the way you talk and your voice maybe isn't always understood by every person in every way.
Well, because everyone has their own experiences, right? They have these things that they said in their head, okay, if someone says this is what they mean. And you can't really make like a statement like that and expect to get all the accurate information every time you do that because you just don't know where they came from. You don't know what the context could completely change the conversation, right? It can go on forever.
Yes.
All right. So keep moving on. We're almost wrapped up here. One question I definitely want to make sure that we tackled before we end it today was that why should I pay monthly for listings when I only change my information one time?
So that's a tough one. You shouldn't change your information one time. You should always be adding, at minimum, images of stuff that's going on inside your business, if you can. Videos is better, and videos and pictures are better, right? But phone numbers change from time to time. That happens. In COVID, we've seen occupancy numbers change quite a bit.
The hours are
hours.
None of them are right.
Hours of operation have changed quite a bit, and we live in St. Louis County, and we live in a fairly I don't know what kind of town it is. It feels very weird to me, but we're still under a lot of restrictions for COVID. Right, we're at a 25% capacity. Actually, I think we're at a 50% capacity in a lot of places now. We have
gyms are still at 25.
Right,
though.
We have prohibition right now on places that serve alcohol that can't be open past 11 p.m. again, and that's just been raised. So it was 10 p.m. just a couple weeks ago. Now it's 11 p.m. So these bars and restaurants are now being able to, their hours of operation.
They're selling more food, and they can stay open longer.
Yeah, their hours of operations are changing quite a bit right now with COVID going on. Yeah. So that's important. So those are like current today reasons why you would do it. Then future would be, hey, Google really recommends that you change the images on the Google My Business every 30 days. Right? And if they see that kind of, hey, I'm updating this stuff, they know that they're active, they know it's reasonable. You do stuff around your business. You paint the front. You power wash the brick. You do stuff like that, and you want to show the world, hey, you power wash the brick in front of your building so that your customers come in and they see it and they get that new perception of wow, they really care about their business.
So share
but why wouldn't you tell the world? If you're doing it for the person walking in the door, why don't you do it? Why don't you tell the person that might walk in the door?
I'm glad you brought that up because Google says. And this was a last year's research, so I'm surprised. I'm interested in what it would say now. 46% of people that are looking online have local intent.
Yes.
So half of them are looking for a place
close
to walk to.
Yes.
Or drive to, or get to relatively quickly. Even Uber nowadays, right? They're looking for you. So why would you not let them know, hey, we just cleaned up?
Yeah. So I heard this story once, and I don't know the specific details, but it's really kind of fun, and it talks about why you should update those pictures frequently, at least monthly, on there. This guy had this plot of land, and he had it for years, and it always a sign up that said, "Hey, this land is for sale," right? And he struggled to sell it, couldn't sell it forever, and then a guy bought it from him, and went and he rented a backhoe, and he literally left the for sale sign up, and he rented a backhoe, and he just went out there and he dug up a bunch of dirt, and every couple of days he'd have somebody go and just move the backhoe around. And he sold the property for like 3 times as much as he bought it for, just because people thought shit was going on.
That's awesome,
right? Like, how brilliant is that?
FOMO.
And he's like, what were you doing? He's like, oh, I was selling the property. I wasn't building anything. Like, that's how you sell property. You make people think shit's going on.
And they want it. They want it.
Like, oh, I want to build something there.
Why am I not doing something? Yeah. It's got to be cool. It's a big backhoe over there.
Yeah. So, for no other reason than that, right? You're showing motion, you're showing movement, and when you show movement, you get if you can get something moving, don't stop. Push that damn thing and don't let it stop. Yes. If it tries to stop on you, don't let it stop. And it's going to try to stop on you. I promise. If you're in business, there's going to throw roadblocks at you. You're going to get hurdles every single day, but you cannot let this shit stop on you. You got to keep pushing, right? And the second you stop, you're dead. You don't know it yet, but you're dead.
Yeah.
So
that's a reason to pay for not only management, but also to be inside of a lot of different online directories, because now you have multiple places that you can show that you're active. Right?
And on top of that, you're going to catch people trying to steal your online identity, and your competitors trying to steal your online identity. How great would it be if you're a gym and you could steal the biggest gym in town's Facebook profile or Google My Business profile? Right? It happens every single day. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times on clients that we manage, we get emails and tickets that say, someone's trying to take over this account.
Yes.
Right? And if it's not your neighboring competition, it's some kind of, I don't want to put a country on it, but ex-country hacker kid, right? That's trying to steal it so that he can manipulate other people into stuff.
Exactly. Right. So being able to manage that gives you you'll be the authority
over your social profile.
Yes. And I mean, like, I know that sounds like that shouldn't be an important thing, but that's huge. In this day and age.
Somebody, like, if you don't have a tool that's telling you when your address gets updated on all your social media profiles,
right,
then how do you know it's not happening? And I promise you,
it's
gonna happen. Like,
yeah.
It's gonna happen. If you don't watch it and you're on the internet long enough, there's some shady folks on the internet. Right? Like,
there's shady folks in the world. They just have access to the internet.
Yes. So yeah, you have to. We're talking about an episode in the future of defensible positions, right?
It keeps coming back up, though, man.
And if you cannot defend your position in business, you're dead. It's that simple. And defending your position for online directories is paying for a service that talks to all of them, or pay a kid to log into every one of them every day. I don't care, but
just do it.
Defend your position.
I mean, not managing your online presence is almost like not managing a toddler. They're gonna get into shit. And something bad is probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
You don't know it yet, but you're gonna open up a drawer. There's gonna be poop in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, something bad's gonna happen.
Yes.
Right. So make sure you are managing your online directories. Can you have any like a final tip or trick or some kind of way to help people kind of wrap this thing and get serious with it besides get to work?
Yeah, just get to work, man. Like, it's a lot of work, and I do a significant amount of work every single day, and I cannot do the amount of work that I do without the tools and the teams that I have. So if you think that you can manage your online presence without an online directory management tool, go for it, man. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to cost you a lot of time. But if you have more time than money, get on it. If you have $100 a month or less, I'd pay for the service, man. Like,
yeah.
Directory listings is one of those services that I would say, like a website, a company should not live without. Review management, I'm up in the air depending on how many you get. You can do it yourself pretty easily generally. Most businesses, small businesses aren't getting, hundreds of reviews a day. I would say, if you're going to be lazy and not do it, then pay someone to do it, right?
It also depends on your industry. It depends on like the area you're at, because if your competitors have 300 reviews and you have 0, even if you do pull up on the Google Maps, I'm probably going to go to the one with more reviews.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And on top of that, stay away from the cheap tricks and tactics, right? Because you can try those. I promise you, if you're trying tactics that aren't on beyond reproach on reality, Google's gonna catch it on, and they're gonna shut you down. So the fly by night guys and the hey, I can get you listed if I do this thing, I would just stay away from them and not waste your money.
Start the foundation.
Yeah, I mean, they're tempting, right? Like, you can go to Fiverr and I get listed in 1,000 websites and for $6. It's probably gonna do more harm than it's gonna do good. So just stay away from that shit altogether.
Yeah.
And, directory listings, it's a real thing, right? It's not make believe.
And it's relatively easy. I would call it
super simple with the right tool. Wildly challenging doing it by hand.
Yeah, and increases the I think the other part that we didn't mention, it also increases your inconsistency.
Right. I don't remember the number. Yeah, it definitely increases typos. Right. Humans make errors.
Yeah.
Right. Computers fail. Humans make errors. We did a study probably a year ago, and I forget what the number was, but it was somewhere around $5,000 is what you would spend in labor if you're paying a kid or a person $15 an hour to go through all 75 directories and get listed. You would spend about $5,000 in payroll, not including, mishaps and HR issues,
not the
and
rework.
telephones and rework and all that stuff. And then again, to update all of those, if you didn't lose all the passwords, would be another couple grand, right?
Yeah.
So just the cost savings, if you want to take your online presence seriously,
right,
then do it. It's really affordable, and get on it.
Right. So there you have it. If you guys have any more questions or another topic that you want to talk about, just text my line at 314-216-2040.
If you want to be part of my community, 314-370-2871. All
right. So that's the end of our show today. Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to like, the Facebook page. If you're watching on Twitch, or Daily Motion, make sure you hit that subscribe button and rate us. Give us 5 stars. And let us know what you want to hear next. All right? Make it count.
Get to work.